am in expert mode, come up to the word Enhance on the pull-down menu and go down to Auto Smart Tone. Now we have a whole bunch of auto things. Smart Fix, Levels, Contrast, Color Correction, Sharpen, and Red Eye. Those tools don't ask any questions. They just do it. Now there's nothing wrong if it fixes the image in using it. But my problem with just using something like that, it would be like flying an airplane on autopilot. And you never learned how to fly the airplane, and sooner or later you get into a situation where autopilot ain't doing it for you, but you don't know how to fly the airplane. And that's why in an earlier chapter, we talked about levels and curves and things down here, because they give you control and you decide where things work. Now, the only one of these that actually is going to ask you questions is this one right here. So go ahead and select it, Auto Smart Tone. Now, in Auto Smart Tone, you have an image in each one of the four corners. And you can see it gets lighter in the lower right and darker in the upper left. Tonal values are changing. This feature uses an intelligent algorithm. And basically what it does is it will adjust tonal values using probably internally things like curves and levels. And you move this thing, it's called a joystick. You move the joystick around on the image inside of a grid to determine what you want. As you move toward those images, it changes in that direction for you. Now, if you come way down here, you have a little button right there, and if you click it, it's Learn from this correction and show the thumbnails. Learning means understood what I did and remember it. Showing the thumbnails, that's obvious. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them. We'll leave both of those things on. You have a before and an after right here. So let's come in here and grab, and you get a grid, and you just begin moving around. And again, like I said, it's not doing a linear job here. If I come down here, you can see it is darkening up some areas, and it's preserving the light areas inside of the boy. In the same way, if I go this way, it's now lightening up some areas, but it's preserving some of the darker areas. It's up to you. But that also means something, doesn't it? It means that if we're doing this visually, you need something to help you out, and that's a color-corrected monitor. Now, I'll just mention one word to you. It's called Spyder, S-P-Y-D-E-R. Write that down. Go out to Bing, Google, whatever, and search and find out what Spyder calibration is. It's a device. You have to buy it. But if you're serious about what you see is what you get, it's probably something you want. I kind of like that, but I'm not sure. So I'll come down here and say before and after. And actually, I do like that. So I'm going to go ahead and commit. I can reset if I want to start again. Click OK. And so we've made our first change using Auto Smart Tone. Next step, I want to get rid of something that's distracting in the image using a creative use of our healing brush tool over here, this one. So I'm going to create a new layer, and we'll call this one Healing. All right. Now, come back over here, pick up this brush right here. Let's look at our options. In here we have Content Aware, which is the best one, because it looks at what's going on around it and says, if he's covering this up, I'm going to use that information to see if I can make this seamless. You have a texture one and a proximity match too. Over here you have a brush. You can choose different brushes. Round brushes, in most cases, are probably what you want, so we don't need to change that. We're going to talk a little bit more about creating our own brushes in this chapter. And of course, you have size and sample all layers. Now, since I am working in a blank layer, that one has to be on or it's not going to work. Let me go ahead and close this down. I want to get rid of the chain. I think that's distracting. So here's a trick. That is more or less a straight line. So all I want to do is come up here and I'm going to click once right there. I'm going to move all the way down to here, hold the Shift key down, and it will draw a straight line between the two. And let's see if it fixes it. This is an amazing tool. It really is. Now let's get rid of the other one over here. That one looks like it bends a little bit. So let's start up here. Click once. I'm going to come down to about here. Hold the Shift key down and get that piece. Look at that. It's just amazing. And I'm going to come all the way down to here again, Shift click again, and it'll remember the last spot and heal that off. You really cannot tell. This is what we did, which doesn't look all that exciting, but it is great when compared and matched to that. Any distraction that I can get rid of, I want to. Now, one more thing, I want to level it out just a little bit. Now, we've done leveling before. the tool that we used in the organizer is basically the same one that you see here. And you come over here and you click the straighten tool. I want to straighten based on this right here. But before we do, let's look at our options. We can grow or shrink. We've been through these before. We can tell the computer we want to remove the background and we want to crop it to its original size. Now, I think what I'll do is this one right here, which is grow or shrink the canvas based on the angle that I create. I do want to rotate all layers because I got two, and I definitely want to try autofill edges. So let's go ahead and close this out again. Let me come over here and draw a straight line. It can be as long as short as you want it. Now it straightens it, and now it's going to try to fill it. Now it's using content-aware technology. That's just amazing. That really did a good job. Now, we didn't really have a lot of complexity on those edges, and so it was not that difficult for it to do. But that's not too bad. So we fixed the tone, we got rid of a distraction, and we straightened the image out, and everything actually is in its very own layer. Total control over this image. Let's go ahead and close, and this is good work. Let's save it. Let's just leave everything alone, put it back with the other one in 4, click Save. Back in the organizer.